True intelligence is not how much you know, but how deeply you understand yourself and how peacefully you move through life. True intelligence is not how much you know. It is how deeply you understand yourself. It is how peacefully you move through life. Many people confuse intelligence with quick answers, with certificates on a wall, or with how loudly they can prove a point. But wisdom flows differently. It does not rush. It does not need to be seen. The most intelligent women I have met are not always the ones with the most words, but the ones who hold silence with dignity, who carry storms within their heart, yet never let the storm drown their peace, who guard their inner energy as if it were the most precious jewel. Let us walk together through the first habits that shape such women: silent strength, emotional alchemy, and the discipline of guarding energy. There is a saying in the Shaolin tradition: the tiger does not need to announce its power. The forest already knows. Intelligent women live this truth. They do not waste energy proving their worth. Their presence already carries weight. Think for a moment about a conversation you once had with someone who truly listened to you. Not someone waiting to reply, but someone fully there. You may have felt calm, safe, and even respected in ways words could never give you. This is silent strength. When a woman embodies silent strength, she does not need to defend herself constantly. She does not rush to argue every small misunderstanding. Her calmness is her shield. Her stillness is her authority. In the monastery, there was a young student who always wanted to be noticed. He shouted his opinions during practice. He interrupted others to show what he knew. He believed that if he was not the loudest, he would not be valued. One day, our master gave him a simple task. He asked the student to fetch water from the mountain stream. The student thought it was too small a duty beneath his ability. He did it, but with frustration. A few hours later, the master asked another student, the quiet one who rarely spoke, to do the same task. The quiet student bowed, walked calmly, and returned with the water, smiling. The master looked at both and said, "One returned with noise, one returned with water. Which one served the temple?" The lesson was clear. Silent strength serves. Noise serves only the ego. In daily life, silent strength shows itself in relationships. Imagine a disagreement with a partner, a family member, or a colleague. One person speaks with anger. If you match their anger with more words, the fire grows. But if you remain calm, listen fully, and respond only after breathing 3 times, the storm begins to settle. This is not weakness, it is mastery. It takes far more discipline to stay silent than to speak impulsively. Today, in one conversation, try this before replying. Breathe 3 times. Feel the silence between you and the other. Then speak with clarity, not with haste. Ask yourself, do my words come from peace or from the need to be heard? Consider this. Silence is not empty. Silence is full of wisdom. The second habit of highly intelligent women is the ability to transform emotions into wisdom. I call this emotional alchemy. Alchemy, in ancient times, was the art of turning ordinary metal into gold. Emotional alchemy is similar. It is the art of turning pain into insight, anger into clarity, sadness into compassion. Many people are ruled by their emotions. When anger rises, they lash out. When sadness comes, they collapse. When fear arrives, they run. But intelligent women do something different. They feel deeply, but they do not drown. Once, during winter training, a student cut his hand on a piece of ice. He shouted in frustration, angry at the cold, angry at his own carelessness. The master said, "Your hand is already bleeding. Why add fire to it with your anger?" The student was silent. The master continued, "If you want to heal faster, use the pain as a teacher. Feel it fully. Let it teach you to move with care. Then, the pain has not been wasted." it has become wisdom. This is emotional alchemy, using emotion as a teacher, not as a master. In relationships, emotional alchemy is especially powerful. Imagine a woman disrespected by her partner. She feels the rising heat of anger. Instead of exploding immediately, she steps back. She asks herself, what is the hidden lesson here? Is it to speak my boundary more clearly? Is it to protect my dignity by walking away? Or is it to see the pain behind his words? She does not suppress her feelings. She transforms them. She uses the fire of anger to light the lamp of wisdom. In this way, emotional alchemy builds maturity. It prevents cycles of regret, and it allows relationships to be shaped by conscious choice, not uncontrolled reaction. The next time a strong emotion rises, try this, name it. This is anger, or this is fear. Ask ye, what is the lesson hidden inside? Choose one small action from wisdom, not from reaction. Consider this. Emotions are like waves. You cannot stop them, but you can learn to surf them. The third habit of highly intelligent women is guarding their energy. We live in a world that pulls at us constantly. Messages, noise, obligations, people asking for more. If you give your energy to everything, soon you have nothing left for yourself. Intelligent women understand this. They become gatekeepers of their own energy. In the temple, we have a rule: every student must clean their own bowl. Why? Because if you do not take care of small things, your energy leaks without you noticing. Over time, this weakness spreads to everything you do. One student once complained, "Master, why do I need to waste time washing my bowl? I should be training instead." The master replied, "If you cannot guard the energy of one bowl, how will you guard the energy of your life?" The student understood. Energy is not only about great battles, it is about the small leaks we allow every day. In daily life, energy leaks through gossip, toxic relationships, endless distractions, arguments that do not matter. A highly intelligent woman says no to these things, not because she is cold, but because she values her peace more than winning the approval of others. Imagine someone invites you to a conversation full of complaints. You listen politely, but after 1 hour, you feel drained. If this happens often, you are giving away your life force. The intelligent woman smiles and gently declines. She chooses where her energy flows. And because of this, her presence grows stronger each day. Try this today. Say no once to something that drains your energy. Notice how your body feels afterward. Write down one activity that truly restores your spirit. Walking, reading, prayer, exercise, and commit to it. Ask yourself, if my energy is a candle, where am I letting the wax melt for nothing? Consider this. Your energy is your life. Guard it as you would guard your breath. Silent strength, emotional alchemy, the discipline of guarding energy. These form the foundation. Without silence, there is no clarity. Without emotional mastery, there is no wisdom. Without guarding energy, there is no power. And so, we continue. Silence is a teacher that most people ignore. In the modern world, silence is treated as something empty, something to be filled. But silence is not empty. It is full. It is full of answers, full of lessons, full of strength. When a person learns to dwell in silence without fear, they discover that silence is not a void, but a bridge between the noise of the world and the clarity of their own inner being. Imagine sitting by a still lake in the early morning. The surface of the water is calm. If you speak loudly, the echoes disturb the surface. If you throw stones, ripples spread endlessly. But if you sit quietly, if you wait with patience, the water reflects the sky. The lake becomes a mirror. This is how silence works in the mind. When you remove the noise, when you stop throwing stones of unnecessary words, the mind reflects reality with accuracy. Many people fear silence because it makes them face themselves. In silence, you hear your own thoughts. In silence, you cannot hide behind chatter or entertainment. But the courage to face silence is the courage to meet yourself. And when you meet yourself, you can no longer lie. Silence teaches honesty. Silence teaches depth. A woman who is intelligent knows the power of silence in relationships. When a partner argues, silence does not mean weakness. Silence is not defeat. It is choosing not to add fire to fire. When two flames burn at the same time, the fire grows out of control. But if one flame chooses to be still, the other soon runs out of fuel. Consider this in daily life. A colleague speaks sharply to you. The natural response is to defend, to argue back, to prove yourself right. But silence allows space. In that space, you see clearly, is this argument even worth your energy? Most of the time, it is not. And when you choose silence, you protect your energy. You protect your dignity. You choose peace instead of noise. Silence is not the absence of words. It is the presence of wisdom. It is a deliberate choice. Try this small exercise next time someone expects you to react quickly. Pause. Take one breath. Do not rush to respond. See what happens in that pause. In the stillness of one breath, the whole situation changes. The other person may calm down. You may see their pain instead of their aggression, or you may realize no response is needed at all. This is the training of silence. This is how silence saves relationships, strengthens character, and heals wounds without words. Ask yourself, where in my life do I need to bring more silence? Patience is another discipline of the wise. Patience is not passive. It is active waiting. Like a seed planted in the earth, it requires water, sunlight, and time. No amount of pulling at the seedling will make it grow faster. In the same way, life unfolds at its own rhythm. Impatience is a form of arrogance. It is saying, life should move at my pace. But patience is humility. It is saying, I trust the process. There is an old teaching from the mountains. A student once asked, how long will it take me to master myself if I train every day with discipline? The master replied, 10 years. The student, eager to shorten the time, said, what if I train twice as hard every day with no rest? The master smiled and said, then it will take 20 years. The lesson is clear. Impatience does not speed up growth. It delays it. Because impatience creates tension. And tension blocks learning, blocks flow, blocks clarity. A woman who practices patience understands relationships differently. She does not demand instant results. She does not force love or force recognition or force respect. She knows these things bloom in their season. She waits, but she does not wait passively. She invests in her growth. She invests in her kindness. She invests in her discipline. This is the same as tending a garden. You water the soil, you remove the weeds, you protect the plant from harm. But you cannot demand the flower to bloom today. You wait with faith, and when the time comes, the blossom is beautiful because it was not forced. In a relationship, impatience often creates unnecessary pain. Someone you love may not heal as quickly as you wish. Someone you care for may not express their love in the way you want, as soon as you want. Impatience creates pressure, and pressure suffocates love. But patience allows space for growth. Patience teaches you to honor another person's pace, to see their journey as separate from your demands. In daily life, practice patience in small things. When standing in a long line at the market, do not let the mind grow restless. Use that moment to breathe, to observe, to notice the details around you. When waiting for a result at work, do not waste energy on worry. Instead, ask, what can I do now that is within my control? This is the essence of patience. Focusing on what can be done while letting go of what must unfold in its own time. Patience is strength disguised as softness. It looks like waiting, but it is actually endurance. It looks like stillness, but it is actually mastery. Ask yourself, in which area of my life am I trying to rush the process? Can I surrender to the natural rhythm instead? Now let us reflect on discernment, the ability to choose wisely where to invest energy. The truth is, you cannot give your energy to everyone. Not every person deserves your time, your thoughts, or your heart. Intelligent living requires discernment, the clear ability to say, "Here I will give, and here I will not." Without discernment, energy is wasted, and wasted energy leaves you drained, resentful, and weak. Discernment is like a gatekeeper of the soul. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you leave the gate open, every passerby can enter. Some will admire the flowers, some will water the soil, but others will trample the plants or steal the fruit. Discernment is the gatekeeper who decides who enters and who does not. It is not cruelty, it is wisdom. In relationships, discernment is choosing carefully whom to trust. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Not everyone who offers help does so with pure intentions. Discernment allows you to see beyond the surface, to feel the energy behind words. A woman with discernment protects her heart without closing it. She remains open to love, but not vulnerable to manipulation. There is a simple story. A traveler walking through a desert is offered two gifts by strangers. One gives him a vessel of water. The other gives him a bag of stones painted to look like jewels. The impatient traveler, unable to discern, takes both. The water saves him, but the stones slow him down, weighing his journey. Discernment is knowing that not everything offered should be carried. In daily life, practice discernment with your attention. What conversations do you enter? What media do you consume? What habits do you allow to repeat? Every choice is an exchange of energy. If you spend your time in gossip, you trade your energy for emptiness. If you invest your time in learning, in stillness, in meaningful work, your energy multiplies. Discernment also applies to emotions. Just because you feel anger does not mean you must express it. Just because you feel fear does not mean you must obey it. Discernment teaches you to observe the emotion, to ask, does this serve me or does it harm me? If it serves you, act on it. If it harms you, let it pass. This is emotional maturity, a simple exercise before saying yes to anything. Pause and ask, does this align with my values? Does this support my growth? Does this honor my peace? If the answer is no, have the courage to say no. Saying no is not rejection of others. It is protection of self. Discernment sharpens over time. At first, it feels uncertain. But with practice, the heart becomes sharper than the mind. You begin to sense when something feels right or wrong, even before logic explains it. This is inner wisdom guiding you. Learn to trust it. Silence, patience, and discernment. These three are connected. Silence allows you to hear. Patience allows you to wait. Discernment allows you to choose. Together, they form a strong foundation for an intelligent and powerful life. Consider this deeply. Where in your life do you need more silence? Where do you need more patience? And where must you practice more discernment? The answers to these questions will guide you toward peace, toward strength, toward clarity. There is a way of walking through life where your presence itself speaks louder than your words. People may not remember what you said, but they will remember how they felt in your company. To cultivate this kind of presence is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of deliberate living. When a woman carries herself with balance, grace, and steadiness, she does not need to demand respect. It arises naturally around her. To achieve this state, one must learn the habit of cultivating emotional patience. Without patience, everything in life is rushed, strained, and easily broken. With patience, time becomes a friend, and the storms of life become teachers rather than enemies. Think of a river. The water does not rush all at once to the ocean. It moves with steady persistence, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always with patience. Along its journey, it carves mountains, nourishes valleys, and supports countless forms of life. A woman who learns to live like this river no longer fears delays, obstacles, or temporary setbacks, for she knows that her movement forward is constant. In relationships, this patience shows up in her ability to listen deeply, to respond with wisdom rather than react with haste. When others are quick to anger, she holds her center. When others push her into conflict, she waits until her words will heal rather than harm. Consider a moment in daily life, a heated argument with a partner, a family member, or even a stranger. The ordinary impulse is to prove a point, to speak faster, louder, sharper, believing that victory is in being heard. But true strength is found in patience, to pause, to breathe, to say, "Let me understand before I answer." This is not weakness, this is mastery. It is patience that preserves relationships. It is patience that prevents regretful words. It is patience that allows love to grow even when frustration arises. One practice to deepen this is simple. Before speaking in a moment of emotion, take one mindful breath and ask, will what I am about to say bring closeness or distance? If the answer is distance, choose silence until a better word appears. This small act, repeated daily, trains the heart in patience. Ask yourself now, how often have you spoken in haste and later wished you had waited? How many misunderstandings would dissolve if patience had been present? Consider this carefully, and you will see that patience is not passive. It is an active strength, a hidden discipline that transforms everything it touches. Patience alone, however, is not enough. There is also the habit of protecting and managing one's energy. Energy is life's currency. How you spend it determines the quality of your days. Many women waste enormous amounts of energy trying to please everyone, saying yes when they want to say no, carrying responsibilities that do not belong to them. This constant leaking of energy leaves them tired, resentful, and disconnected from themselves. But the highly intelligent woman learns early that her energy is sacred. She learns to guard it as carefully as a skilled martial artist guards their breath, for every strike and movement depends upon it. Imagine the human body as a lamp. If the oil is steadily drained by too many small leaks, the flame weakens until it disappears. Protecting energy means identifying these leaks, unnecessary obligations, toxic conversations, endless comparisons, digital distractions, and sealing them. When the leaks are stopped, the light grows strong again. In relationships, this creates a powerful shift. Instead of giving from emptiness, she gives from fullness. Instead of offering love that drains her, she offers love that renews her. Her presence becomes nourishing, not exhausting. A story illustrates this well. There was once a woman who worked tirelessly for her family, her job, her friends. Whenever someone asked for help, she said yes, even when she was exhausted. She thought this was love. But slowly she became bitter, snapping at those she cared for, feeling invisible and unappreciated. One day, she stopped and asked herself, if I continue like this, will I have anything left to give? She realized she had been giving from an empty cup. She changed her approach. She began to rest without guilt. She chose carefully whom she allowed near her. She said no when she needed to. Over time, her energy returned, and with it, her kindness and joy. Her family noticed the difference. Her love grew stronger because she learned to protect her energy. This practice begins with awareness. At the end of each day, ask yourself, where did my energy go today? Did it go toward growth or toward depletion? Which people, places, and habits strengthen me, and which weaken me? Write these answers down. Slowly, you will see patterns. You will recognize the leaks. And when you seal them, your life force grows. Notice in your own life, how do you feel after scrolling endlessly on your phone? How do you feel after an honest conversation with someone who supports you? The difference is energy. Intelligent women choose carefully where they place it. When energy is guarded, another habit naturally follows: the ability to say no with clarity and without guilt. To say no is to set a boundary. It is to declare, this is who I am, this is what I will allow, and this is what I will not. Many struggle with this, fearing that saying no will make them unloved, rejected, or alone. But in truth, every no protects a deeper yes. When you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what nourishes you. When you say no to disrespect, you say yes to self-respect. When you say no to unnecessary noise, you say yes to inner peace. Think of a garden. If you allow every weed to grow unchecked, soon the flowers will be choked and the beauty lost. To say no is to pull the weeds, to protect the garden of your life. It is not cruelty, it is care. In relationships, this is vital. When a woman has no boundaries, she becomes easy to use, easy to manipulate. But when she says no with calm firmness, she commands respect. She teaches others how to treat her, not with harshness, but with quiet strength. Consider this example. A friend repeatedly calls only when they need something, never when they want to share joy or give support. If you always say yes, resentment grows. But if one day you calmly say, I care for you, but I also need balance in this friendship, you have drawn a boundary. The friend may resist, but over time they will respect you, or they will leave. Either way, your life becomes healthier. This is the gift of no. One practice to strengthen this is to rehearse small no's daily. Say no to the second cup of coffee if your body does not need it. Say no to one unnecessary obligation each week. Say no to one negative thought that repeats in your mind. Each no builds the muscle of clarity, and soon, when larger boundaries are required, you will not tremble. You will stand firm, with compassion, but also with strength. Ask yourself now, where in your life are you saying yes when your heart longs to say no? How would your days change if you honored that truth? As patience, energy protection, and boundaries grow together, something extraordinary begins to happen. A woman becomes centered, steady, and luminous. She is no longer tossed around by other people's moods or demands. She knows when to wait, when to act, when to give, and when to withdraw. She understands that her time, her love, and her presence are valuable. And because she lives this truth, others begin to feel it too. The combination of these habits reshapes her entire existence. With patience, she prevents the waste of words and regrets. With energy management, she preserves her life force and offers love from fullness. With boundaries, she teaches others how to meet her with respect. Together, they form a shield of inner strength that no storm can easily penetrate. So pause for a moment and reflect. Where do you rush when life asks you to wait? Where do you give away energy without thought? Where do you allow weeds to grow in your garden because you fear saying no? These are the places of transformation. These are the doors to wisdom. Walk through them with courage, and life itself will respond with harmony. There are moments in life when we must remind ourselves that strength is not only about moving forward quickly, but also about knowing when to stop, to breathe, and to center. True intelligence reveals itself not only in solving problems, but in the way one carries themselves through each season of life. To see this clearly, we must observe how the body, the mind, and the spirit align. The habits of intelligent women are not loud, not forceful, but subtle forces that shape entire paths. Let us move further into this path of clarity and learn what these habits truly mean in practice. One of the greatest powers you hold is the ability to decide what to carry and what to let go. Many people cling to words, to moments, to feelings that no longer serve them. They replay old arguments in their heads. They recall betrayals again and again, as if keeping them alive will somehow heal the wound. But wounds do not heal by being reopened each day. They heal when the hand no longer touches them with bitterness. Intelligent women understand this. They practice the art of release. Imagine holding a small stone tightly in your palm. Over time, the hand cramps, the fingers hurt, and the muscles grow tired. When you open the hand and let the stone fall, the pain vanishes and the palm breathes again. This is the same with emotions. Release is not weakness. It is freedom. It does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean ignoring. It means recognizing what burdens the heart and choosing to lighten the load. Consider in your own life, what heavy stones do you still carry? Ask yourself, what would happen if today you opened your hand? In relationships, this habit creates peace. Instead of arguing endlessly, one learns to pause, breathe, and choose silence when silence is the higher wisdom. It is not surrender, it is power guided by discernment. To practice, begin with a simple daily act. When you feel irritation rising, before responding, place your hand on your chest and take one deep breath. Ask yourself, does this matter tomorrow? Or is it only today's cloud passing by? Slowly you will learn that many things are not worth the energy you once gave them. This is how release becomes a shield, guarding your inner strength. There is also another wisdom, one that turns silence into a teacher. Highly intelligent women know how to listen without rushing to fill the silence. Silence is not empty. It is a canvas upon which truth often paints itself. In Shaolin training, silence between movements is as important as the movement itself. The pause carries balance, prepares the breath, and stabilizes the mind. In life, silence functions the same way. Many fear silence in conversations. They think it is awkward or a sign of weakness. But silence allows the other person to reveal their true nature. When you do not rush to answer, when you let the stillness extend a little longer, you will see people unfold. Their nervousness, their honesty, or their hidden intentions become clear. This is a subtle art, but once learned, it changes the way you interact forever. I once observed an elder monk respond to a difficult question. Instead of answering immediately, he closed his eyes, breathed, and waited. The silence stretched. Some grew restless, shifting on their seats. But then, when he opened his eyes and spoke, his words were simple and direct, like an arrow that had been aimed with precision. The silence gave power to the words. This is something you can practice. Try in your daily conversations to let 3 seconds of silence follow before you respond. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but soon you will notice the power it holds. People will lean into your presence, waiting. They will sense calmness in you, and you will feel that you no longer speak just to fill space, but to bring clarity. Ask yourself, what truths could you hear if you were not afraid of silence? Beyond silence, there is also the habit of protecting energy. Intelligent women recognize that their energy is not infinite. Where attention goes, life flows. To spend energy carelessly is like leaving a lamp burning in the daylight. It gives no benefit, only waste. Protecting energy is about knowing where to invest and where to step back. Too often, we get entangled in gossip, in trivial arguments, in endless scrolling of empty distractions. These are small holes in the vessel of life, draining vitality drop by drop. Protecting energy means guarding your mind and spirit from such leaks. Think of energy as water in a bowl. If the bowl has cracks, no matter how much you pour in, it will soon be empty. Intelligent women mend the cracks first, ensuring that what they pour into themselves is preserved and nourished. There is a story of a farmer who worked tirelessly on his land. He sowed seeds, watered them daily, but every season, the harvest was poor. One day, a traveler observed him and said, "You water, you sow, but your fence is broken. Animals come at night and eat what you plant. Repair the fence first, and you will see abundance." The farmer listened, and the next year, his field blossomed. This is the same with energy. You may nourish yourself, practice good habits, but if you allow gossip, negativity, or constant comparison to invade, your harvest will be stolen. Protect your fence. Guard your energy. A simple way to practice is to create one boundary for yourself each day. For example, decide that in the first hour after waking, you will not look at your phone. Instead, you will breathe, stretch, or reflect in stillness. Or choose one person in your life with whom you will not engage in draining conversations. These small acts are like repairing the fence. Slowly, you will see your inner field flourishing. Ask yourself, where is your energy leaking? And what small repair can you make today when these habits come together? Release, silence, and protection of energy. They form a strong foundation. They are not dramatic gestures, but steady disciplines. They help you navigate relationships without being shaken. They give you clarity in communication, and they preserve the vitality needed for your own growth. They are habits that others may not notice immediately, but over time, they shape you into someone grounded, balanced, and radiant. This is the quiet power of intelligent women. Every life, no matter how ordinary it may appear on the surface, carries within it a silent battle between authenticity and conformity. It is in this struggle that the 13th truth emerges, the undeniable power of living in alignment with one's true values. Too often, people bend themselves to fit the expectations of others, reshaping their words, their choices, and even their dreams just to avoid judgment. Yet, when the noise of the world quiets and the individual stands face to face with themselves, it is not the opinions of others that echo back, but the raw question of whether they were true to who they really are. This is where so many feel the sting of regret, because they realize they traded authenticity for acceptance. And what is acceptance worth if it comes at the cost of betraying the deepest essence of who you are? Living in alignment with your values is not always convenient, nor is it always rewarded in the short term, but it plants roots so deep that even the strongest storms cannot uproot them. Imagine someone who spent their entire life pursuing success defined by others, climbing the corporate ladder, buying the house that impresses neighbors, wearing the clothes that signal status. Outwardly, everything looks impressive, but inwardly, there is a gnawing emptiness. Why? Because success without alignment is hollow. It is like drinking salt water when you are thirsty. It may look like it satisfies the need, but it only leaves you drier, hungrier, emptier. True fulfillment cannot be borrowed from society's ideals. It must be grown from the soil of one's own integrity. To live in harmony with your values means you do not shift with every wind of opinion. You have an anchor. You know what matters most. And when faced with choices, you ask not, what will people think of me? But instead, will this choice honor who I really am? That is a different standard of living, one that makes you unshakable. This kind of life requires courage because alignment demands sacrifice. It may mean refusing promotions that compromise your principles. It may mean leaving relationships where love has been replaced by control. It may mean standing alone when the crowd is shouting in unison. But those who dare to align with their truth discover a strength others cannot imagine. They find a peace that is not dependent on applause, and they carry a lightness because they are not split between who they are and who they pretend to be. Integrity is freedom, and freedom is power. When you live aligned, you stop chasing validation because you realize you are already enough as you are. The greatest respect you can command from the world begins with the respect you show to your own soul. As we move forward, the 14th keynote becomes clear. It is not enough to know your worth. You must also protect it through the boundaries you establish. A person without boundaries is like a home without doors. anyone can walk in, rearrange the furniture, and leave their mess behind. Without boundaries, life becomes a constant cycle of being drained by others' demands, manipulated by their needs, and diminished by their expectations. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are gates that determine who and what deserves entry. They are not acts of cruelty, but of clarity. They say, this is where I end, and you begin. This is what I allow, and this is what I refuse. Without such lines, respect evaporates and resentment festers. But with them, relationships flourish, because love without boundaries quickly turns into exploitation. Consider the woman who says yes to every request because she fears disappointing others. She works late to cover a colleague's tasks, sacrifices her weekends to manage her family's endless crises, and swallows her feelings when her partner speaks disrespectfully. To the outside world, she looks generous. Inside, however, she feels invisible, burnt out, and unloved. The truth is, when you never say no, your yes loses its value. Boundaries restore that value. They transform giving into choice, not obligation. They turn love into respect, not dependency. People may resist your boundaries at first, especially those who benefited from your lack of them. But in time, those who truly care will learn to honor them, and those who don't will fade away. Both outcomes are blessings. Boundaries are not only for others, they are also for yourself. They guide your habits, your time, and your energy. They remind you that scrolling for hours through meaningless distractions is a theft from your dreams. They tell you that overextending yourself is not strength, but neglect. Boundaries whisper that rest is not laziness, but renewal, and solitude is not loneliness, but alignment. To master boundaries is to master balance, and when you stand firm in them, you teach the world how to treat you. Every boundary is a declaration that your life, your heart, and your time are sacred. And when you hold them with consistency, you build a fortress of respect around your existence, one that no manipulation, guilt, or pressure can dismantle. Then comes the 15th keynote, which brings together the threads of authenticity and boundaries into one undeniable reality: the importance of choosing the company you keep. You cannot expect to live a life of strength and clarity while surrounding yourself with those who thrive in weakness and confusion. The people closest to you shape the quality of your thoughts, the tone of your emotions, and the scope of your vision. If you walk among cynics long enough, you will begin to doubt hope. If you walk among dreamers, your imagination will expand. If you spend your time with those who constantly complain, your own heart will grow heavier. But if you sit with those who see possibilities in every problem, your spirit will rise. Who you allow into your circle is not a trivial choice. It is a spiritual decision that determines the trajectory of your life. There are those who bring energy and those who drain it. There are those who speak life into your dreams and those who suffocate them with doubt. There are those who challenge you to rise higher and those who subtly pull you back down to the level of mediocrity. Learning to discern between them is one of the greatest acts of wisdom. It is not about judging others harshly, but about protecting the soil of your soul. Even the richest seed cannot thrive in poisoned ground. If you want to grow into the fullness of who you are, you must guard your environment. That may mean stepping away from friendships built on gossip rather than growth. It may mean distancing yourself from relatives who project their fears onto your ambitions. It may mean limiting contact with those who only take but never give. This is not cruelty, it is cultivation. It is the recognition that you cannot carry everyone with you, and that not everyone deserves a seat at the table of your life. When you surround yourself with those who align with your values, respect your boundaries, and celebrate your authenticity, something remarkable happens. your own greatness begins to multiply. You become braver because you know you are not walking alone. You become more creative because you are inspired rather than drained. You become more grounded because you see your worth reflected in the way others honor it. The right people do not compete with your light. They encourage it. They do not shrink from your truth. They celebrate it. They do not resent your boundaries. They admire them. Such people are rare, but they exist, and finding them requires first becoming that kind of person yourself. For like attracts like, and integrity calls forth integrity. These three truths, living in alignment with your values, protecting your worth with boundaries, and surrounding yourself with the right people, are not separate lessons, but interconnected pillars. Together, they create a foundation upon which a life of unshakable strength can be built. Without alignment, your soul feels fractured. Without boundaries, your respect is stolen. Without the right company, your energy is drained. But with them, you rise. You become a person who cannot be swayed by fleeting opinions, manipulated by false demands, or weakened by toxic circles. You become a person who walks with clarity, with dignity, and with power. There is a certain truth that many overlook in relationships. People may admire your kindness. They may enjoy your presence. They may even rely on your loyalty. But if you do not carry standards that define how you expect to be treated, you invite disappointment and disrespect. Keynote 16 is about the irreplaceable role of boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that shut others out. They are the lines that define who you are, what you value, and how you allow others to interact with your world. Without them, you will always bend in ways that break you, always give in ways that drain you, and always compromise in ways that leave you empty. Boundaries are not selfish, they are sacred. They protect your energy, your emotions, your dreams, and your dignity. And the truth is, people respect what has edges. Just as a diamond is valued because it is cut, defined, and unbreakable under pressure, so too is a woman respected when her life is carved by standards that do not bend at the whim of others. The tragedy is that many are conditioned to believe that love means endless sacrifice, that devotion means saying yes, even when the soul screams no, and that loyalty means tolerating behaviors that wound the heart. But real love is never nurtured by the absence of boundaries. It thrives in the presence of them. Boundaries do not destroy connection, they deepen it. They teach people how to love you properly. They show that your love is not cheap, that your time is not free for misuse, and that your soul is not available for exploitation. Think about it. A river without banks is a flood, destructive and directionless. But a river with clear edges becomes life-giving, flowing, and powerful. In the same way, when you define your boundaries, your love, your kindness, and your presence become more meaningful. People begin to recognize that being close to you is not a casual privilege, but an earned honor. There will always be those who test your boundaries. Some will push against them to see if you truly mean what you say. Some will manipulate you into thinking your standards are unreasonable, hoping you will lower them. Others will even leave when they realize they cannot cross them. And this is where strength must rise. Do not mourn when people walk away because your boundaries ex their true intentions. If someone only values you when you have no voice, when you have no limits, when you allow them to take endlessly without accountability, then their departure is not a loss, but a revelation. You are never diminished by the absence of those who cannot respect your worth. You are elevated by the presence of those who honor it. But boundaries are not just external, they are internal too. It is not only about how others treat you, but also about how you treat yourself. Do you honor your own limits? Do you protect your mental health by saying no to environments that drain you? Do you respect your physical body by refusing to tolerate neglect or abuse? Do you safeguard your dreams by refusing to shrink them for someone else's comfort? Internal boundaries shape external respect. If you do not honor your own life, no one else will. When you begin to live in alignment with your own values, when you guard your peace as carefully as your possessions, when you say no without guilt and yes without hesitation, you begin to radiate a confidence that shifts the way others treat you. Moving to keynote 17, we confront an equally powerful truth. Respect and attraction do not grow from desperation, but from self-possession. The paradox of human connection is this: people are most drawn to you when you do not chase, when you do not beg, and when you do not attach your worth to their approval. Desperation repels, dignity attracts. Many confuse love with pursuit, thinking that if they just prove their loyalty, if they just bend enough, if they just show their availability, the other person will finally choose them. But what actually happens is the opposite. The more you lower yourself, the more they lose interest. The more you center your life around them, the more they devalue your presence, and the more you silence your needs in order to preserve theirs, the more they feel entitled to your sacrifice. True connection happens when you are not afraid to walk away. The person who knows their value never fears silence, never fears absence, never fears the possibility of being alone. Because they understand something deeper. Being alone is not the greatest loss. Being with someone who diminishes you is. The moment you detach from the outcome, the moment you no longer beg to be chosen, you transform the dynamic. People feel that energy. They recognize when they cannot manipulate you, when they cannot control you with affection, when they cannot hold your worth hostage by withholding validation. This kind of strength unsettles the insecure, but it magnetizes those who value substance. In life and love, confidence is quiet but undeniable. It is not arrogance, it is clarity. You carry yourself differently when you know that you are enough. You speak differently when you are not afraid of rejection. You behave differently when you realize that the right connections cannot be lost and the wrong ones cannot be saved. There is a power in restraint, a power in silence, a power in not rushing to prove yourself. Think of the strongest people you know. They are not loud, not desperate, not scattered. They are grounded. They carry a peace that speaks louder than words, and people are drawn to it. In relationships, the same applies. The one who stands firm in self, respect becomes unforgettable, while the one who constantly seeks approval becomes replaceable. But this strength is not built overnight. It comes from years of realizing that love is not worth losing yourself, that attention is not worth begging for, and that your life is too sacred to be diminished by someone who cannot see your worth. It comes from breaking cycles of insecurity, from healing wounds of abandonment, from recognizing that not every rejection is about you. It is often about the other person's inability to recognize value. And it comes from understanding that love is not about possession, but alignment. When you are aligned with yourself, you do not need to chase, because what belongs in your life will naturally be drawn to your energy. Finally, Keynote 18 brings us to the profound importance of consistency. Anyone can impress you for a day. Anyone can shower you with words when they want something. Anyone can behave in extraordinary ways in the beginning, but consistency reveals character. It is not who someone is when they are trying to win you. It is who they are once they have you that matters. Pay attention to patterns, not promises. Promises can be spoken with ease. Patterns are lived with difficulty. If someone's words and actions do not align over time, trust the actions. Consistency is the soil where trust grows. Without it, relationships remain shallow and unstable. It is easy to be enchanted by intensity, grand gestures, sudden affection, overwhelming attention. But intensity is not the same as consistency. Intensity burns bright but fades quickly. Consistency burns steady, providing warmth and security over time. Many fall into the trap of mistaking intensity for love, only to realize later that the person could not sustain what they started. That is why patience is essential. Do not judge someone by the fireworks of the beginning, but by the rhythm of their behavior over seasons. Do they show up when it is inconvenient? Do they keep their word when no one is watching? Do they treat you with the same respect when emotions run high as when everything is calm? Consistency is also a mirror. It forces you to look at yourself and ask, am I consistent? Do I hold to my values when tested? Do I show love not just when it is easy, but when it requires sacrifice? Do I speak truth even when silence would be more comfortable? Consistency requires discipline, and discipline builds respect. When people see that your actions align with your words, they begin to trust you in ways that cannot be shaken. Life teaches that the people who remain consistent are rare. They are the ones who do not just make you feel special in moments, but prove it through actions. They are the ones who do not just talk about loyalty, but demonstrate it when tested. And they are the ones who do not just admire your presence, but commit to protecting it. To build anything of depth, love, trust, partnership, friendship, you need consistency more than intensity. Because consistency is love lived, not just love spoken. And so, when you step back and connect these three truths, a powerful pattern emerges. Boundaries protect your worth. Self-possession magnifies your value. Consistency reveals the sincerity of others and yourself. Together, they form an unshakable foundation for any relationship or connection in life. Without boundaries, you lose yourself. Without self-possession, you chase what should flow naturally. Without consistency, you are deceived by moments instead of patterns. But when all three are alive in your life, you not only command respect, but also create relationships that are rooted in strength, not weakness, and in truth, not illusion. As we step back and look at the path we have explored together, a clear pattern emerges. True intelligence is not measured by knowledge alone, nor by fleeting achievements, nor by the praise of others. It is measured by the steadiness of your presence, the clarity of your mind, and the depth of your heart. It is cultivated through patience, discipline, and the courage to honor yourself above the fleeting opinions and expectations of the world. The habits we have explored are not rules to follow blindly. They are principles to live by, ways to shape a life that is strong, harmonious, and deeply fulfilling. A highly intelligent woman understands that her energy is sacred. She knows how to protect it, how to direct it, and how to replenish it. She does not scatter herself in endless pursuit of approval or validation, but instead moves deliberately, choosing what to engage with and what to release. She respects her own time, her own values, and her own worth, and in doing so, teaches others how to do the same. This is the quiet power that others feel even when it is not spoken aloud, the presence of someone grounded, unshakable, and centered. She cultivates patience, not as a passive waiting, but as an active discipline of the heart. She listens before she speaks, observes before she judges, and responds with intention rather than reaction. She recognizes the importance of silence, reflection, and release, knowing that what is held too tightly can never thrive. She understands the interplay between action and stillness, and she moves in a rhythm that is her own, unforced, unhurried, and fully aware of the impact her presence carries. She chooses the company she keeps with discernment, surrounding herself with those who elevate, inspire, and honor the principles she holds dear. She allows no one to diminish her light or distort her truth. She sets boundaries that preserve her peace and protect her energy, knowing that what is sacred cannot be compromised without consequence. She recognizes the value of consistency in herself and in others, understanding that true trust and respect are built over time, not promised in words alone. Every choice, every habit, every moment of reflection is a step toward greater alignment with her authentic self. And as she aligns with her own values, her actions ripple outward, shaping relationships, guiding others, and creating a life of harmony, strength, and deep fulfillment. This is not a life of perfection, nor of control over every outcome, but of presence, integrity, and deliberate living. Consider now the life you are shaping through your own choices. Where are you patient? Where are you protecting your energy? Where are you setting boundaries that honor your soul? Where are you consistent, discerning, and aligned with your deepest values? These questions are not rhetorical. They are the gateways to transformation. The answers will guide you toward the strength, clarity, and wisdom that define a life lived with purpose and presence. In the end, the greatest power you can cultivate is the power to be fully yourself, grounded, centered, and unwavering in your truth. Everything else flows naturally from this respect, love, connection, and fulfillment. Live deliberately, act with integrity, and honor the sacred rhythm of your own life. When you do, you become not only highly intelligent, but profoundly alive, radiating a quiet strength that touches every part of your world.